Well, hello, I'm Chris, and this is my GM Chevelle horn video. Now, I really don't know what to call this video, but we're working on a 70 Chevelle. It's mainly for any car that uses a mechanical horn relay. I have another video on here going over how to test that. So I believe 64 to 71 have it here. Other cars have it in different areas on the firewall and stuff like that. But we start by taking this wire off the small wire. The small wire is a signal wire. It's grounding this out, sending power to that one with the notch in it over here to your horns. If you're building a car or just putting it together, move this around. Okay, so we got to talk about everything so we understand what's going on. Okay, I was talking about moving that piece if you're just putting your car together, because this can be dirty. Okay, so see that little contact point right there? The spring's going to sit in there. The spring is going to make contact to this. This sticks in there. See, this is on our steering wheel part. The contacts, if you pay attention to this, is grounding out that black wire, the small one we pulled off of the horn relay. So the way we test this is we run a continuity test from this spring or contact all the way to that little black wire we pulled off of the horn relay. There should be no resistance between those two. If you have resistance and all your wires are hooked up, it's most likely going to be with these contacts or the signal light switch, or at least that's where I would start before I started going into the wiring. Our horn contacts ground this out. So we'll test it all, and I'll try to give you a real good idea. So these videos I make, it's hard to see this stuff in real life, so you got to bear with me. This is a 70 Chevelle, and on the horn relay it has two black wires. One's thinner, one's fatter. We're going to pull the thinner wire off. This wire is the one that goes straight to that spring in the horn contact. This has to be grounded to turn your horns on. Watch my horn relay video. So we need to put like a extension on this wire. We're just sticking that in there like that so that we can test it over there. If you look at this piece right here, it's got a little hole. We're just going to be sticking a screwdriver in it because I don't have the right spring for it. Okay, so we're doing a continuity test. Continuity test measures the resistance. No resistance. We're taking that wire from the horn relay and we're trying to check it all the way back here, and there should be no resistance. See what I was talking about moving this? The contact is dirty. Okay, just keep playing with it. All right, so it does show a little tiny bit of resistance, but it's got plugs and stuff it goes through. That's why it's doing it. So if you can't get resistance like that, then you got a problem in there on the wiring, on the switch, something screwed up, and you're gonna have to get inside the wiring part of the car. That's why we tested it like that. You've seen how important it was for us to move this around because that contact I was showing you. The other thing we got to test is the steering column ground. See the rag joint? There is a ground on the steering column. You should have that in there. Let's test that real quick. We're taking a test light. We're putting it on positive of the battery. Coming over here to the steering column and just making sure that we can get a ground in the steering column. It's going to turn our light on. See? Alright, so our steering column is grounded. So I'm not a Chevelle horn expert. You use this information at your own risk. This video is only meant to be used as a guide. Okay, I was born in '84. Never got to see this stuff brand new. I parted out mainly Chevelles, and this is what I have. But when you look in the book, these are your only two options. I would buy that one, but I have a bunch of old ones, so we're going to try to make something work. So first of all, there's a high and a low. These look like this from the bottom. These are like the magazines. I have no idea of all these horns. These are the only two that have brackets that even come close to what they originally had on 70 through 72. Okay, so we're going to try testing these, and we're also going to take apart an old one to see what the heck is going on in here. The first step is you got to test the thing and see if it even works. Clean this off really good because it'll fool you. Get down to bare metal. Okay, so this is test battery positive, goes here. main thing is they gotta work. Okay, this can get hot, uses some juice. So see, this one's arcing, but it's not working, and it's heating this up real bad, so I can't get it to work. Let's try this one. Okay, be careful, it gets kind of hot when you arc them. So this one's good. Yeah, so I got a screwed up one here. Let's take this apart and see what is going on in here. It's got rivets, we're just gonna have to grind them off. It's got freaking spiders in here. A whole bunch of water starting to pour out of this. Now, what is this, like a diaphragm or something? Ah! Okay, I don't know what the hell this is. All right, we're gonna sandblast this and see if we can get it to work or see what it does. I got this thing cleaned up, kind of ran some tests on it. So let's talk about what the heck is going on in here. Okay, so the main thing about this is once you take it apart, it's going to be extremely difficult to try to put it together. And, you know, in other words, it might not be worth it. This is kind of like a speaker. This has to be centered. Okay. So the biggest problems you're going to have is going to be with contact. So you have to clean these 100%, clean this plug on both sides. That's where I had the most issues with stuff, you know, not testing right. Okay, this, try to draw a picture of what this is, but first let's look at the circle thing, and you notice it has this stepped with some kind of non-conductor, some kind of paper thing like a circuit board piece right there. Okay, so that does not conduct electricity, and you see in the glare you can see how it's been riding on the little shiny side right there. So let's just keep that in mind. And this is a diaphragm. I'm only speculating right now. The power comes in from right there. You can see the wire, and I believe it travels over here. See, there's a little non-conductor paper thing in there, and it goes through this, comes over here, and then it goes through the coil. Okay, this is a little point, a little contact point right there. So let's draw a picture, then we'll get into this. Comes in, it's got a little point contact that's got to go through, and then it goes through a coil right here. So whenever that coil energizes, okay, so this is this. So this energizes and creates a magnet, and it starts to pull that center down. And as it pulls that center down, this little edge breaks the contact points. It just sends this back up, and it just keeps breaking the points. It just keeps doing that, vibrating and vibrating, creating air. So you can't see breaking the points. And you can't see the little coil in there. So the next thing you know is you take this screw out. This is some kind of weirdo screw. It's hard to get out, but it's metric. It's a number 5.08 thread pitch. Use one that we can actually freaking turn. You kind of want to screw that in there until it starts to break the points. Once it starts to break the points, just kind of back off of it just a little bit. So this is kind of like a speaker. It has to be aligned in there perfect. So that would have been like a factory would have set that in there just perfect. So it might be hard to get it right, or it might not even work if you try to put this back together. So let's go ahead and experiment. Let's see what the heck is going on here. First of all, get your power, clean everything off real good. Okay, we hit it with the ground and it doesn't do anything. So you just kind of start tweaking this. Let's back off of it. We're just trying to get a starting point where something happens. Okay. Well, I guess we got it right the first try, but okay, so I'm not even gonna lie, it's working perfect now because I started sandblasting on it and I cleaned these up real good. That's how come I was having trouble. So it's so freaking important to clean these contacts off perfect. That didn't even really matter. It's working throughout any range. It's even working without, like, with the screw not even touching it. So when you raise that up, it's sucking this thing down, magnetizing right there. It's gonna break the points longer, and it's gonna make it go slower, move less air. Okay, so we got it real high. It's gonna break the points longer when this thing comes in contact with it, breaking the points. So there's going to be more of a delay on that sucking down. So let's check that out. So we'll turn it a little bit and it'll get slower. Back it all the way out. This will be the fastest because the screw's not even touching it at all. So this should be the fastest this thing will go. Get touching. So this will be about halfway between the fastest and lowest. Something like that. So you kind of get the point. Pulling a magnet, pulling this down. As it pulls it down, it's breaking the contacts with a delay. As soon as the contacts touch again, it's energizing again. So it's just boo, like, then that vibration is pushing that air through this, and I guess that's the patented horn sound thing. And there you go. So the main fault in this video, if you're gonna find any, is I don't know how to tune them or what the correct sound is. So as long as they don't sound too high pitched, you know, like a foreign car, I'm good. Okay, so you've seen how nasty this was on the inside, and you can imagine that being nasty would cause all kinds of problems, and you can't really take it apart and put it back together. So if you can't get your horns to work, taking this in and out, blowing air through them, man, I don't know, you're probably just gonna have to buy some new ones. Okay, now we're gonna sandblast these and restore them. So if you're gonna sandblast them like I am, we're just trying to stick something in there, and that's pretty much all you gotta stick in it. You can push them in too far. I almost pushed them in too far on the other one. Okay, so just like some cotton in your ears, now we're safe to sandblast. Another thing is, since ours are not correct right here, we're going to go ahead and cut that off, and then we're going to drill a new hole for them. 5/8 from the edge is a factory hole. So I'll spray them with a semi-gloss. Let's see if we can kind of tune them with what we've learned so far. Clean the contacts off. I'm just going to leave that alone. It sounds fine to me. This is the one that wouldn't work at first, so we're going to have to tune this one, I believe. Okay, that doesn't sound right. So we're going to tighten it in as far as we can. Okay, so that would be that it's moving too slow, so we need to loosen it more. Okay. So I'm just going to leave it alone like that. It sounds like a horn now. I'm going to have to, you know, read about that or figure out how it's supposed to sound. Can always tune it later, tweak it later. Let's get this on the car. Hopefully they ground out. So you see how the horns are in there. That's supposed to be 70 through 72 style. Sticker black wire comes right out of the horn relay. It's got the plug with a little tab on it. So this goes right to your horns. Okay, so I'm still working on this car. I'm not going to put any interior steering wheel in right now. Okay, so we tested that screwdriver or spring all the way over here to this black wire that goes to the horn relay. If that has continuity and that has a ground, then all that's good. We're not able to check that right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to check the horns to see if they work. All you got to do is, since this wire is grounding out in your steering wheel, we're going to have to put a little jumper, and we're going to jump that horn relay, the small space, over to ground on the battery to test our horns out. This test is also important so you can see if it's a ground issue on your horns. This one is hard to put back in, so take your time. So when we ground it out on the negative side of the battery or anywhere, it should turn our horns on, and if it doesn't, then we got a grounding issue on our horns. Okay, so we just pulled a small wire out to test right there. Watch that horn relay video, get a real good idea. Now all I gotta do is figure out how to get this back in there where it belongs. Okay, so now I got horns on my car. It looks like they might have come like that from the factory. So you got an idea how to test this out. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.